I spilled a load of coolant all over the GPU yesterday, and now it's time to actually turn it on. Wish me luck, gents. Not scripted, I promise. Come on, give me some lights. Give me some lights. Come on. Come on. It's thinking about it. Oh, look at that. Okay, that looks sick. That looks sick. The Gigabyte Aorus 17 is a gaming powerhouse, coming equipped with Intel's latest 12th gen i7 processors, up to an RTX 3080 Ti graphics card, crazy fast Intel Wi-Fi 6E, and a stupendous 360Hz IPS display. Learn a little bit more and get yours today. Hit the link in the description below. Come on, come on. It says all okay. Oh, the stress. The stress. The stress. That right there is about 2 weeks work. Yes, a lot of it was actually filming and editing videos for this, but I never spend that long making a gaming PC. But I'm so glad I did. I mean, just look at this thing. This was always meant to be like a mainly black theme, but then to sort of let the components do the talking. But honestly, this has come out so much better than I could have expected. Even the fluid that we're using here actually somehow manages to sync with the RGB lighting on the fans, where you've got this white ring. It's almost like the white texture is exactly the same across the fluid and the fans. It's almost as if I planned it. Something I definitely didn't plan though was to actually break one of the RGB pins on the motherboard, because they're a little bit flimsy and where the cable didn't quite reach, it snapped. But we don't talk about that. I used some extension cables, got it all to sync up. Let's open up RGB Fusion and actually see what we can do to this rig. Really do love the fluid. It looks a little bit sus when it's off, but you can really see the appeal, because once you've actually got it in your system, essentially the whole system can start reacting to the RGB lighting. I absolutely love the look of that. And even the black and white cables, it all just sort of focuses all of your attention into the components. I think it's great. As long as this works, this is the dream computer. I've been waiting so long for this. Shall we test temperatures? If I haven't put any of the blocks on properly, which has definitely happened before, then it is as good as, well, I'll have to take it all apart. As good as dead, as good as sad. It definitely needs a little bit of a tune at the moment as well. That pump is a little bit whiny, but that does look absolutely incredible, doesn't it? Hardware info. Open up, please. Hopefully, this thing isn't suffocating. Like, obviously I want low temps, but right now I just want it to work. So CPU package, 36 degrees. Shows us the maximum has been 53. I'd certainly take that. GPU temperature, 30 degrees. 30 degrees, man. Water cooling for the win. To be fair, the hotspot's 38. Disaster. Do I have Cinebench installed? Yes, I do. Let's give it a run. Not gonna be too worried about the score here. Brilliant, our CPU is at 100 degrees. The realization when the PC you've spent 2 weeks working on doesn't work. And I just don't understand why. This is the thing. Is this a fucking joke, man? It boggles my mind, right? Because I know for a fact I haven't done anything wrong here. I just don't know what to say. How can that be hitting 100 degrees when we've got a full loop on it? Hello everyone, it's me, Future Marcus, editing this video, and I've calmed down a bit, as you can probably understand and appreciate since a few hours ago. Still very angry, but I do at least come armed with knowledge now as to what has happened and ultimately how it can be fixed. Because I did actually talk to Corsair about this immediately after I'd finished filming the video, and their short answer was that this has happened before, and the TLDR is that the new i9 CPU has what they're calling like a concave sort of shape to it, and their thermal paste that they pre-apply onto this CPU block isn't really, well, quite clearly, isn't really good enough for this system. So the problem isn't the same as what we had before, where we had like a dodgy mount and it wasn't making good contact. This time we just essentially need more thermal paste to actually sort of sit in the gaps, I guess, which ultimately explains why this system isn't working. But it does now mean that I do have to drain this, take the whole CPU block off, and then essentially reinsert some new thermal paste. But ultimately that hasn't really helped me right now, because I've got at least 4 to 5 hours of work to actually get this thing fixed before I can get it up and running. No good. Let's fire up the graphics card though and see if that does something similar. Hardline water cooling. Highly recommended. Obviously the fans are coming on and it's completely ridiculous because at the moment it's tuned to the CPU temperature, and as it loads everything in, the CPU gets hot, so don't go thinking this is normal because it's not. But at least the positive news is that the graphics card definitely is working properly because we're getting around about 58 degrees on the memory, and then the GPU cores around about 47.5 degrees. We've got two 360 degree radiators. The pump is operating pretty much at max speed. So without tuning whatsoever, you're getting under 50 degrees on an RTX 3080 Ti. That is a big success. It's just a shame about the rest of it. Something that I do highly recommend people do is to actually plug in a temperature sensor into your loop though. So at the bottom of this pump, I've plugged in one of the Corsair ones and then it's plugged into the motherboard. And this is when you can then go into the software and tune everything. So at the moment, it says the fluid is 30 degrees, EC_temp2. This is what it then should sound like. But it's not completely silent, you still have a tiny bit of pump noise, but bear in mind it should actually be like this most of the time, even when you're under quite a bit of decent load. You can see why I'm a big fan of custom loop, just not hardline. Because if this was soft, it really wouldn't be a big deal at all. You'd have enough slack here that you could just lift off the CPU block. You don't need to take apart the loop every time you want to retest something. We fired up the most interesting game ever, some Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I'm sure you love looking at this. But just to give you an illustration of the thermals then, the CPU is currently struggling to run this, as we know. It should be fine, it will just downclock itself a little bit. It's sitting around about 90 degrees, not good. But just to illustrate the GPU, the thing is actually working flat out at the moment. We're getting around about 55 degrees on that. Clock speed's 1845, so we definitely can overclock this a fair bit actually. We can probably get nearer 2000. There's a tiny bit of coil whine on the GPU. I think that is to be expected. A lot of the time you do get it, you just can't hear it because the GPU fans are sort of blaring and, well, disguising the noise. As soon as you actually have any audio at all, your whole system is pretty much going to be inaudible. Well, I would go out on a limb and say it will be inaudible if you go for something like this, but that actually works. If you guys have any advice for me whatsoever, please let me know down below. I put so much effort into this, and once again we've failed, but we will get it working eventually. Of that I'm sure. And as always, if you do want to check out current pricing on any of the parts that are in this system, then as always you can find all of those in the description down below. And links for the incredible Gigabyte Aorus 17. This machine packs in 14 cores of CPU power for sky-high frame rates, with options to suit every gamer's needs and budget. You've got DDR5 or DDR4 memory, Thunderbolt 4, and the WindForce Infinity cooling system. Learn a little bit more and get yours today with the link down below. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed this video, or at least, I don't know, have some sympathy for me. Get yourself subscribed for more just like this. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.